research presentation, but a safety presentation and security. The reason why we do this every year is because things do happen in the lab that are unfortunate. It's not because we want them to happen, but so we find it a good idea to remind everyone, including myself, what the safety rules are, what are procedures if things happen, and hopefully we prevent any serious injuries or all safety issues. That's the idea here. So please listen intently and ask questions, and hopefully you'll be remembered of certain things you forgot, and Jim will, our research engineer, will go over everything that you need to know. And if you have any questions during the time, please ask them now so we can get them answered. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Professor Raessler. In addition to the safety and security, I'm also going to, at the very end, speak up about some of the maintenance, I guess, taking care of the equipment. Some things that we're seeing around here that shouldn't be, and everybody needs to know so that you guys can call each other on it. So moving right into it, we're going to talk about who to call in case there is something that happens. In general, what we have going on here, the first aid procedures: fire, tornadoes, chemical, respiration, tag out, electrical safety. Well, PPE is up towards the top, don't worry about that, and the ergonomics is a quick one. Everybody should know this by now, because if you're working in the lab, you've already taken this. If you haven't taken this, speak up now. The U of I as a whole requires anybody working in a laboratory to take this online training and then print out the certificate at the end of the training. I need to have a copy of this in your training record, or you're not allowed to work in there. So, has everybody taken this one? Yeah? Well, that's good. We don't have to revisit that. We also have our HRL document, which has several pages and appendices. And at the end of it, we have your agreement to that document. Just means that you understand what you read and that you agree to abide by it so that we can all get along and not break any rules. That also has to be done by everyone before they can work in the lab. So since everybody is out here, everybody already has that filled out, right? More nods. And finally, the one I think is more important is that the training. Whenever we use any of the equipment, we don't want to just walk up to it and start using it. We want to know how to use it properly, how to keep it from getting broken, what's going to happen if something goes wrong. So we've instituted, with the help of Mark Killian, training for the saw room over there, the power saws, and what's the other one? The sieves, sorry. The sieve training as well. In the past, we've wrecked that equipment many times and had to replace it on several occasions. Since we've started doing the training, we haven't had that problem. So while it might be cumbersome, it's helped a lot in keeping this place running and saving money for research rather than spending it on maintenance of equipment. Go. Our emergency numbers. See, you just remembered. Inside HRL, we have a computer that reaches out to an outside line, so you have to hit a 9 and then 911 for the emergency number. All the other buildings are direct dial, so 911 is all you got to do for the other buildings, MPF and TOL. This page I can print out for you at another time if any of these numbers are not familiar to you. These are more of our local numbers. They're not as much campus related, except for when it gets down to U of I, public safety, and chemical spills. Send me an email after today if you want a copy of this. When we're out in the labs, we require eye protection at all times now. Eye protection is for your eyes, not for the top of your head. I understand if you're down working on a computer, okay, but at any other time, have your eyes covered. There you go, right now. But he's not out in the lab, so good man. Thank you, Imran. All the other equipment out here, it is not trained by Mark Killian, but the research engineers or an associate professor will teach you how to use the equipment and how to run the tests. it should never be a situation where you just walk up to a machine you never touched before and start working with it. There will always be some kind of a training that happens prior to. That training, we should also start documenting on here on top of Mark Killian's training. So when you start using the Instron, the UTM, any of those big equipment out there, let's make a record of it also. Personal protective equipment, PPE, is all the things that you use to protect yourself from the equipment, from the environment, from the things that you're testing, whether it's cold temperature, hot temperature, flying debris, whatever the case may be. We'll get to another page and we'll demonstrate everything we have available. And if you think of anything else that you need that would help you, bring it up and we'll make sure and get a hold of it. Cleanliness, ongoing, perpetual problem. All I can say is clean up after yourself and it won't be a problem. If you leave a mess, then there's going to be a mess for everyone that has to take care of it. The last thing, we always have 2 people here, whether that's after hours, 2 people in the office. If you're working out in the lab, you got somebody with you when you're working on stuff. Nobody is to work alone. Well, what do you know? No one is to work at Atrial alone. Don't let it happen. If you know you're going to be working late, it's going to be after 5 o'clock when you're leaving here, talk to your fellow students, talk to somebody, make sure somebody else is going to be here with you. It also includes coming in early. If you know you're going to be here before the staff hours are basically 8 to 5. Any other time, night, morning, whatever, make sure you've contacted someone and there's another person here with you. Do not prop the doors open. We've had trouble with that in the past where we put a brick in front of one of the doors and it's left open who knows how long. We get a lab full of moths, ants, who knows what we're getting in here. So don't keep the doors propped open unless you are actively carrying things in and out. As soon as you're done, kick that prop out of the way. Leave our doors shut. Also, I know with the building, the heating and cooling, we've had some issues this summer and probably will continue to have issues, but when you open a window in wherever you're at, usually in the offices, make sure you close it. Don't leave it for the next person. If you open it, you close it when you're leaving. And then arming the alarms, there's got to be at least 2 people here because nobody's ever here alone to arm it by themselves. Always have 2 people to arm that at the end of the day. Not sure if, as far as running the alarm, does anybody here that doesn't know how to use the alarm panel? Okay. I'll take care of that after the presentation, but I want to make sure if there's any questions anybody in here has, I would like to address that for anybody. Do not be at Atrial by yourself. Make sure there's always 2 people here. If you use it, clean it, and then put it back where you found it. So many times, so much of my time is spent walking around looking for simple tools. A wrench, a screwdriver, it doesn't get put back where it's supposed to be. Put things back where you find them. I guess you can turn the light on again. Also, clean it when you're done using it. Whoever mixed up this batch of epoxy, this is not going to be useful for anyone ever again. We have to throw it away. Clean things up while you're using it. Don't set it aside and leave it for later. Yeah, we're pointing fingers now. That's why I brought it in here, to bring this up. So clean it when you're using it. All right? And then cleaning again. Always leave an area cleaner than what you find it. If we can do this, we don't have to have the big cleanup days where everybody's out there running the brooms around and vacuuming and pulling things out from the wall. If you clean up when you're working, it stays clean. And then for when you're scheduling, you know how long it takes to run your test, if you're going to cut, if you're going to run a test in the machines. Plan enough time after the test to take care of cleanup, an extra 15 minutes at the most. It doesn't take long when you take care of your individual mess. It takes us all day when everybody has to get out there and clean all together. No tennis shoes, no sandals, anytime, anywhere around here. Okay, wait. When you're working on your computer in the offices, I'll allow it. But Any other time, anytime you cross the doorway into the labs, into the high bays, in MPF, you will have steel toe boots on, and that is the only footwear allowed. If you go out there to work with me at Atlas, we're also going to have sturdier equipment than what you'd wear in here. Sometimes this comes up where you have sponsors that want to come and see your research, wherever that may be in the labs, even on the computers. There is no waiver. There's nothing that they have to sign. We welcome people into the building to show off what we got. But if we're going to be a guest, whether it's someone that's staying to study with us for a while or somebody that's going to be working alongside us, there has to be some registration that happens with the department and with the university as a whole, just for your information. Everybody that comes to our lab has to follow the same rules that we do. If they're going to be working here, they're going to take this presentation, they're going to take the training from Mark or whatever they happen to be working with. Visitors also, when they're in the lab, are required to have the same protection on that we are. I will give a pass on the steel toes if somebody shows up just for an hour-long visit to the lab, but I will require somebody that is properly dressed to escort them and keep them away from areas where crushing could happen, keep away from the work. I think by now everybody knows where the safety glasses, hearing protection, that kind of stuff is in the C bay right next to the door. That's where everything's been disappearing from. I've tried to keep it stocked, but hey, that's another thing you guys can help me with. When that runs empty, let me know so that we can get more glasses and hearing protection, hard hats, all that stuff that we need to have on hand. All right. Who wants to be the model? Who's the most asleep? Behzad's looking down, Sunggu's looking down. Let's get both of you guys up here. See, he hasn't even looked up yet. Come on.
Come on, Behzad, it's your only modeling officer.
James, you want to dress him up for me?
Absolutely.
Sunggu, come on. All right, first thing on the list, the safety glasses. Why are you so slow? Get up here. Sunggu! All right. Behzad has on a fine pair of safety glasses. These are the cheap ones that I get for everybody to have. I wear them also. Same style, same model. I keep mine with me. The thing I'm saying with them always disappearing from the bin is you guys will carry them around. I think I've seen maybe a dozen pair in the student office. Bring those back so other people can use them.
Hey, I actually have a suggestion or a comment on that. Like, you know how everybody is buying their own steel-toed boots and like getting like $50
The reimbursement.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about like making this even the earring protection, ear protection, and the eye protection student specific? Like require everybody to have it. I don't know if it will be possible to get a sponsor or something. This mess is being created because people are taking and then keeping, and like everybody is not responsible for buying their own. Like if it will be like shoes, then nobody, I mean, if they have spent $2 for it, nobody's going to leave it behind. They'll take it back to their desk. So the whole problem will be taken care of. I mean, we won't, and only the stop can be for visitors.
I guess that's what I'm trying to emphasize with these is that take ownership of the ones that you take from me. They're yours. Keep them with you, whether it's on your belt or in your hand or whatever. Ideally, you won't have to spend money on anything besides the boots. It's not, I don't want it to cost you money to work here.
And I think the problem of things not returning and staying on desks will be eliminated if you remove all the extra ones from the bay. People know they can find extras from the bay. That's the reason they don't take care of their work. If you remove all of them, I'm sure everybody will.
Well, hopefully with this presentation here, it'll make it aware to everybody to help me out, because we are going through quite a few of the safety glasses. Other things not so bad, but the safety glasses are disappearing very quickly. If it doesn't fix itself, then maybe we'll move to a more radical solution. With the face shield, if you don't have the safety glasses, if you're doing something that's more impact related, or if your glasses, you don't have the glass over the glass safety glasses, the face shield is a good solution. Also, you wear the face shield is very helpful when you're working with sawing or cutting where you've got stuff that's flying back on you, and glasses aren't enough. If it's getting on your face and stuff, you want to go ahead and put that on, right?
How about in the binder lab when you have solvents?
I'm sorry?
The binder lab.
For the
lab?
face shield?
Yeah. What is required in the binder lab?
In the binder lab, it'd be optional. There's not anything that's high enough impact where you'd need to protect your skin quite that bad. Oh, that's right. Catalina remembers. When you're working with heated solvents, you need to have, I was thinking the high base for some, not the binder lab, even though that's specifically what you said. Yes, you need to wear a face shield when we're working with heated solvents, where there's a risk of open flame, or a flame being generated. It's a requirement. Next on the list is gloves. We're going to demonstrate one each. Start with the jersey, the brown ones. These are just general cotton work gloves used for light duty work around here. Any general duty, if you're just picking things up and carrying them from place to place, use the brown gloves. They're easily replaced, they're cheap. They don't last real long, but they do the job for a day. The next one, the blue ones, these are thermal insulators. They're not work gloves. Use them to go inside of the welding gloves or the hot mill gloves when you're working with the hot molds, with the gyratories, anytime that you have a lot of heat. Do not use the blue gloves for just picking things up and carrying them around or cleaning or whatnot. You can have some go put those on. Yep. And then you have an option. I think the big difference between those two types of gloves, the blue ones are welding gloves, and they give good thermal insulation. The white ones are hot mill gloves, also good insulation. The difference being dexterity. The hot mill are better for if you're working in the binder lab where you got smaller tools that you're working with, smaller pieces. The welding gloves are good out in the high bay when you're working with the gyratories and the molds, big heavy stuff. They give you a little better protection too. They're thicker leather, the welding gloves, so it's more preferred out there. Also, there's a cost involved when I buy these. The brown ones, I get a dozen of those for $3 or $4. The blue ones are $5 or $6 each pair. So that's why I don't want them used for work and getting torn up for no good reason. Same thing with the welding gloves. They're much cheaper than the hot mill. And okay, not much, a little bit cheaper. Good call. Next, earplugs. I'm not going to worry. Oh, you got those? Yeah, don't put them in. Earmuffs. If you're sawing, if you're doing the really loud noises, doing them together in conjunction, earplug and then earmuffs on top, very effective. Hard hats. Did you bring? Yeah, brought one in. Bezod wants to put that on. Back brace. We have had back injuries out here, lifting buckets of stuff, or I'm enjoying this too, actually. Sungu can put the back brace on. It is complicated, but it helps. When you are working on batching, oh, come on. Taking pictures. When you have to lift the buckets of aggregates, if you're lifting full buckets of asphalt, go ahead and put that on. It helps quite a bit with the lower back support, even as goofy as it is. If you can't find it, ask.
No, he's asking where we can.
Oh, where you can find it. This one particular is kept in the bee bay by the doorway. There's a couple of coat hooks. It's where the brooms are supposed to be in the bee bay. That's where I keep that one. And if we end up using quite a few of them, I'll buy more, and we'll have more around. But I don't think has anybody used it?
I used it once in my bad day.
Yep. Yeah, you did have a back sprain for a while, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You need one? Okay. See, that's why I'm doing this. Back brace for... Also, anybody remembers Shishen? He, swinging a sledgehammer, really wrenched his back up pretty good. So he had to wear one all day, every day for a while. Little sun. Okay. Dust masks, the little paper ones. If you're doing a lot of aggregate work, those are extremely helpful. I find them annoying myself. Respirators, for those of you that are working with the hot solvents, those trap the solvent vapors and keep it out of your lungs. Lab coats. We didn't bring both types in here. We got the blues are supposed to be a fire retardant. Likewise, as Catalina brought up, when you're working with heat and solvents, you are required to use a fire retardant lab coat. The white ones are just plain cotton. They're good for getting the messes on you, keep the messes off your clothes. You know. Solvent aprons. When you're in the solvent room cleaning up pans and stuff, when you're done working with your asphalt pans and you go clean them up, this guy keeps the solvent off of you. Solvent will penetrate whatever fabric you happen to be wearing. That keeps it out altogether. Solvent gloves, also mainly for use in the solvent room when the pans have cooled down and you're cleaning things up. They'll keep that solvent off your skin. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Whether or not you liked it, I enjoyed it.
Great model.
Yeah, free pizza. We do actually have a selection guide. It's in the kitchen. It's a flow chart to, you know, what kind of work you're doing will dictate what kind of equipment you need to wear. I don't need that. Safety glasses. Okay, yeah, everything's available in the sea bay. We talked about that. Sorry. Lab coats and gloves are available in the solvent room. There's also a few coats hanging up in the B-bay and by the doorway into the binder lab. We talked about the 911. Inform the safety coordinator if you use anything out of the first aid kit. Any Band-Aid, any ointment, any gauzes, you need to let me know so that I can replace those items. If I don't know about it, it's not going to get changed.
Most of them are expired. Yeah.
There you go. Alarm. See, I told you we'd learn something today. Expired first aid. All right. Anytime you get hurt, let the safety coordinator know. And so naturally I have to ask, who's the safety coordinator? You are correct. All right, workman's comp. Okay, first aid kit locations in case you're not out in the high bays all the time, haven't seen them laying around. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Okay, I thought I had my map coming up, so when I bring the map up, I'll point these out, don't forget. And over at MPF, there's only 2 over there. There's one in the bathroom, one on the door of the sol room. There's not as many people work over there, so if you work over there, you ought to know where these places are. Not going to bring TOL because nobody should be in TOL. If you do get hurt here, like I said in the previous slide, let me know. However, if you're that badly hurt, get to the hospital as quickly as possible, which is getting an ambulance. Don't try and drive yourself with an arm hanging off or something. We're going to do it in the safest manner possible, get you to the help that you need. After all the injury-related stuff is resolved, then we'll get into the paperwork side of it. And yes, I am the person you see for the paperwork as well. The big thing I want to lay out here is once you do make a claim with the paperwork, it's up to you, the injured person, to make sure that paperwork keeps moving along through the system. We'll find out as we go who we need to talk to next, but you need to keep it on par with movement. Keep it moving.
Can you provide us with your phone number too?
Yes, that was in one of the very first slides.
Oh, your phone number too.
Yep. Fire. We have fire here. All right, what happens when you see a fire? Okay, very first thing is let somebody else know. Get the fire alarm pulled, let the other people in the building know there is a fire. Because these things can spread much faster than anybody can actually take care of in any given amount of time. It's incredible. Excuse me. Then, after you've let somebody else know, go back, and if the fire is still a manageable size, grab a fire extinguisher and try and put it out. If it doesn't go out with one fire extinguisher, leave it alone. Isolate it, get away. And then everybody outside. You need to know how to get out of the building. Fortunately, this is an easy building to get out of. There's doors everywhere. And there's not very many rooms that are trapped back in behind another room. Know where the fire alarm poles are at. Know where the fire extinguishers are at. I just talked about how to use it. All right. Or what to do. How to use the fire extinguisher. We will arrange for another fire extinguisher training with the Urbana Fire Department. Who all was here for this summer for that? Fair number, good. So we'll arrange that again so that you get familiarity with this equipment. It's something that if you don't use it, it's very unnatural. It doesn't seem like it works the way it's supposed to. But the most important thing to keep in mind when you are doing it, first, remain calm. You panic, you spray in the ceiling, you're not doing any good. You want to hit the fire at the bottom. The flames, they're hot, but they're not the fire. The fire is the whatever's on fire at the bottom. That's where you want to aim the fire extinguisher. Aim at the base of the fire. Pull the trigger and slowly sweep back and forth across the flames. That's what we were just talking about. And there's the map. Ready, Aaron? This is your part.
James is up for it.
Oh, God. All right. So, this is Atrial. Everybody should be relatively familiar. Instead of telling you where these things are at, we're going to show you where the fire alarm poles are at. Because you're going to learn right now too, aren't you? It is a quiz. All right, these are fire extinguishers. Lab A on the east wall, binder lab.
Fail.
The fire extinguisher in the binder lab. Slow down. All right, lab B, the volumetrics lab. It's near the south door. South. Yeah, that's it. All right. And there's, yep, one in the C. Lab C, the soils lab, is also right by the door leading out to the hallway. In the high bays, they are on both sides of the high bay. There's one by the north door, one near the south door in each of the high bays. Yep. And right there. Good. In the kitchen on the east wall. Yeah, right by the bathrooms. And east would be towards the Atlas. Right there. In the classroom. Really? Hey, look at that. There's one in the classroom. I didn't fail, I just didn't know. And
incidentally, they're near the door on your way out of the room when you're going to let somebody else know that there is a problem or a fire. So you should be walking right past it or jogging past it.
Let somebody know first before you grab a fire extinguisher so they can come and help you.
Yep.
Don't just grab one and start spraying.
And then the hallways, like James started circling.
There's one there.
There's one, and then there's
And then one like there-ish.
roughly.
Yep.
Okay? So that's fire extinguishers. Let's change colors. Next, we're going to do the fire alarm poles. This is what you would use to activate the fire alarm so that the entire building is making noise and everybody in the building knows and the the fire department gets called. These, east wall of main entrance, right by the front doors. Yep, right there. Good. South wall of east and west entrances on the doors on the ends of the building, on the south wall, right by the doorways again. So once again, as Aaron pointed out, on your way out, you're letting people know.
So do these things automatically call the fire department?
Yes, they do.
They also automatically turn on the sprinklers.
No, I don't think ours do.
No.
Not in this building. Can we try? No. No, these are all heat release. So they'll be triggered individually as the heat gets hot enough. Learned something today. North doors of labs A, B, and C, the labs, right by the exit going out. North side, north side, north side, north side, north. There we go. Yeah, solvent room. There, yep. And yep. Bingo.
There's no north arrow on the map, you can't blame me.
I was gonna say, quiz.
Likewise, on the north side of high bays, A, B, and C, right by the door, the personnel doors leading out. They are very close to the fire extinguishers. Okay. We are good on fire extinguishers and fire alarm poles. Have a seat. Do we have another color back there? We got black. Do we have a red or? Yeah, red. Perfect. Go ahead and grab that from them. Stay. There we go.
They're right on that now?
Nope.
What do we got red for?
All right.
How about that here?
I will discuss MPF with the people that work over there at the end of this. Not as many people work over there, so I wanted to do it on a smaller scale so that those people are more aware of what we're doing. Good question, though. Thank you. The different types of fire extinguishers, A, B, C, and D. We have B and C. Just C? Man, we went through this when we had the fire. Anyways, A is for ordinary wood and paper, things that just burn and turn to ash. B is for liquids. We got plenty of those around here that burn. So C is electrical. That's what we have. B and D. Nope. Dang it.
ABC.
ABC. That's what it is. Or
And
B.
we have also carbon dioxide.
And I think carbon dioxide is the B.
I think that's A.
No, that's ordinary ash.
Would be the C.
Okay. Anyways, each of these different types treats the fire differently. Like James just pointed out, carbon dioxide smothers the fire. It displaces the oxygen so it can't burn. Those are the ones that I think you want to use on the flammable, the liquids and electronics. And then we don't have any flammable metals here, so we don't have any of that. The ABC is a powder, very fine. It coats whatever it's hitting and blocks out the oxygen from getting to the flame. And it also makes a huge mess out of the entire building because it floats everywhere.
That's the thing. The most important thing to know about the different types of extinguishers is just so you don't surprise yourself. Know that if you've got an electrical fire versus flammable liquids, know whether or not it's going to make a mess, just so you're not surprised. Other than that, don't run around trying to read the label on the extinguisher, wondering if you're grabbing the correct one. We will have the appropriate extinguishers in the right rooms, so you can grab the nearest extinguisher. So again, just as long as you're aware of the general category so that it doesn't catch you by surprise.
Well said. We'll visit two previous fires we've had here at Atrial. Joseph Bautang. Does anybody remember Joseph? I'm sure Deb does, yeah. He worked on an oil sand project from Canada, and they wanted to know the bitumen content in the oil sand. Oil doesn't burn quite the same as asphalt, so when they put the oil sand in the ignition oven to burn it off and get the remaining aggregates, it didn't burn. It just smoldered until we opened the door and oxygen got in there, and huge ball of fire came out of there. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, and fortunately it occurred in a device that is made to handle 1,000 degrees Celsius. So nothing was lost or damaged in this situation. Not so fortunately, everyone remembers Ibrahim's fire we had this past spring. It did turn out to be very fortunate where nobody was hurt, and ultimately we didn't lose any of the building or any major equipment. We had to replace some things, obviously, and do quite a bit of cleaning. But it did turn out very fortunate, as the situation was. I want to use this picture here also to point out that if you do have a fire in the fume hood, that you drop the door. Don't try and move the fire out of the fume hood, because that's what the fume hoods are for. They're for fires or for the vapors and getting everything away from the humans so that we're not in danger. Just pull that sash down if there is a fire inside it. Go there. The sash all the way to the bottom, and that'll give us some time to be able to react to it. Was there anything else from that?
If there is a fire, don't open doors.
Isolate the fire. Keep it behind closed doors. Don't. The one thing happened here as well. Ibrahim says, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds he walked out to scream down the hallway at Dave, and then went back in there with a fire extinguisher. In that short amount of time, he thought the lights had gone out. There was so much smoke, it was completely black in that room. So after that, then they thought they had it out. Don't know because it's so smoky. They opened up doors to try and let the smoke out. If the fire wasn't out, you're feeding more oxygen in and potentially spreading that fire to other parts of the building. Isolate the fire. Keep doors closed, windows, get away from it.
Yeah, if there's heavy smoke, don't enter the room.
Because that could
Kill you.
incapacitate and kill, yes, exactly. Tornadoes. We are in the Midwest. We're on the edge of Tornado Alley for the United States. We do every year get several around here. I don't know that we've ever had one right here in Rantoul, though. Not since I've been here in 10 years. So I'm going to talk about the different conditions, what you'll see on the TV, what they mean, and what to do when you're out here. A tornado watch means that conditions are in the right, conditions are favorable for the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. There's a front, there's enough moisture in the air, things are the right shape to make a bad storm. A tornado warning means that there is rotation in a thunderstorm and a tornado could be produced at any moment. That means that you want to be already heading for cover when there's a tornado warning. Out here at Atrial, or here in this main building, the janitor's closet and the tool room and the server closet are the only places that really have a solid roof over them.
Those rooms are always closed and locked.
And if we have a tornado warning, I will unlock them. Or even a tornado watch. I'll open up on a watch.
Actually, the tool room.
The tool room is always open.
Right, so if we did have something and we weren't around to unlock the doors, the pool room in High Bay A, that also has a solid.
Let me see if I put the map up again. Yeah, okay, here we go. Let's talk about this. You know what? I'm going to make a new person. Mushaba? One of our new students. Do you know where the janitor's closet is?
Nope.
Okay, that's why I'm doing this. We'll do it with the black. All three of these rooms are right here. This area has a concrete mezzanine. I don't remember how thick it is, but it does have overhead cover, so you are protected from the debris. Any of these rooms, all along the front, the high bays, it's just a drop ceiling and a sheet metal roof up above. In a tornado, that's not going to protect you from much.
Where's the student office on this map so they know the relative location?
Where's the student's office?
Very good. Where are we at right now?
You're here.
Perfect.
Right? Or here? No.
Yep, you're correct. This is classroom. Okay, the janitor's closet is this one here. Go ahead and mark it somehow. All right. This is the server closet. This one will remain locked because the equipment in there doesn't belong to us, so we need to protect it. But in this situation, I will open it up. And then the tool room only has access from the high bay, so you'll need to go through the doorway into the tool room. All right? Everybody knows where that's at now. Go ahead and mark, or yeah, cap it and put it back. Thank you. Since it is, I don't know, MPF, you want to stay, with tornadoes, sorry, I'm moving around. With tornadoes, you want to be away from exterior walls. A tornado will propel things fast enough to penetrate block walls. So you don't want to be around an exterior wall. In MPF, the only room that does not have exterior walls is going to be the tool room off the west bay, the bathroom, and the mop closet. That's the only places you want to go over there. If you're at TOL, mop closet, it's right next to the,
Oh, okay.
yeah, sorry, janitor closet, exactly. If you're at TOL, don't worry, just kick your feet up. That thing is so well built, nothing's getting through there. Oh, look at that. Who drew all over my slide? All right. When you get into the protected room, have a seat, tuck yourself in, put your hands over your head, and protect yourself. If possible, get something to cover yourself up with, a jacket or some kind of a tarp. Stay down and stay away from the exterior walls. Yes?
Not everybody, let's say this room 15 goes, I mean, to your rooms even if you open the separate.
If we're in that kind of situation, we'll fit everybody in. Maybe not seated, but we'll get everybody in there. We'll find our way. If you happen to be outside when one is actually approaching, you want to get as low as possible. Get down into the ditch. It's usually in association with a thunderstorm. It's going to be wet, muddy, dirty. Get down and go swimming. What happens, most of the people that get hurt during a tornado, it's not that the tornado gets a hold of you. It's all the stuff in the air being swept along, is being thrown around by the wind. If you get yourself down below the ground, all that's going to be swept over the top of you. You got a much better chance of not being hurt. Get as low as you can. Oh, chemicals. If you spill anything, come let one of the engineers know. We've got spill kits. We're able to take care of everything that we have here. But let us know. Don't try and sweep it up and hide it. Same with anything else around here. You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to get in trouble. Let us know so we can take care of the problems the correct way. In a complicated spill, somebody is hurt. We don't know what kind of chemical we're using. You got multiple chemicals mixing together. We don't know how those two are going to interact. If you know one of the chemicals is toxic, flammable, or reactive, technically everything out here is a public space, so maybe everything out here is a complicated spill. Potential of spreading the spill, don't know how to clean it up, and a danger to the environment. For the most part, the last two, everything we have out here does not qualify. This is for your information, but mainly I'm going to be handling these, or one of the research engineers in this situation. Same thing with the fire. We're going to let other people know so that they don't come stumbling across the spill. We're going to get people out of the area, if we have to, out of the building altogether. Confinement, just like with the fire. Close the doors, close the windows. And when the correct responders get here, I'll let them know what kind of chemicals we're working with, the MSDSs. MSDS is a material safety data sheet. I think that's explained, well, somewhere back there. I may have taken that one out. Okay. Material safety data sheet lists off all of the properties of that chemical, how it reacts with other things, what concentrations it's dangerous in, how it affects how it affects people, and how to treat it, and how to fight it if it's on fire. There are different techniques for different types of chemicals. Like I said, the simple spill, let me know. We'll take care of it with the proper equipment. Chemical hygiene plan basically lists off all the things that I just listed off. And I have a copy, or I have the copy of it. Here we go. We also have showers if you happen to get a caustic chemical spilled on you. Does anybody have any work with any chemicals that are really that bad? You got that additive that's not so nice, but it doesn't burn your skin, does it? It's just not real nice. But nonetheless, we have 4 chemical showers here that we test monthly and know them all to be working. And they are located James, you're closer. You can do it with
Is it hot water or cold water?
Are you really going to care if you need it?
just do a black X.
Yeah, spot. I'm for saving water in your apartment, man.
You take your showers in your
You've
apartment.
got the temperature set, so it'll be the perfect temperature for it.
Just look for the shampoo and the body wash. Okay. So the red circles, we have one in the B bay, C bay, binder lab, volumetrics lab. We don't have a lot of these around here, but this is the National Fire Protection Association ratings. They give an idea in an instant by looking at things, how dangerous this actual chemical is. There's the MSDS thing. Since I already explained it, we're moving on. Respiratory protection, since we talked about during the personal protective equipment, the PPE, you already know how to handle these. If things get too overpowering, we do have the exhaust fans out in the high bays. I think everybody knows where they are and how to use them. Well, the people that are working out there, not everybody. These are the chemicals that I know of out here. If you guys know of any others, let me know right away. I need to know about these.
Is hydraulic oil flammable?
Yes.
Yes. It's closer to diesel, though, where it needs a really high combustion temperature.
Yeah, it takes quite a bit. It doesn't have solvents in it like a lot of other fluids do, but it's still flammable if it gets hot enough. So
Yeah.
that's why hydraulic pumps turn off at about 130 degrees. So they have run that risk.
Most of what we work with out here is a solvent of some type. So those are all flammable to some degree, usually pretty easy. You want to make sure and treat them as such that don't put them around the hot plates, don't have open flames around your solvents. Don't have hot plates or flames around your solvent-soaked rags. We've done that before. The rest of them, let's see. We do, yes.
I'm sorry, excuse my ignorance. I don't know, acetone is any of those?
She's right, I don't have acetone on here. Acetone is another solvent that we use. It's good for the finishing, the cleanup, because it's a very light. Aaron, explain acetone. I want to write.
Acetone is like women's fingernail polish remover. It's an industrial version of fingernail polish remover.
All right, and it's good to finish the cleanup with after after you use the mineral spirits. Spirits is heavier and more oily than the acetone. If you have delicate instruments that you're working with, DSR, for instance, use the acetone to finish with because it evaporates. It leaves a very clean surface. It doesn't leave anything behind. The more dangerous ones we do have. Somebody else question?
Flammable, right?
Yes. Yeah, very flammable. Acetone. The more dangerous ones are the trichloroethylene, the toluene. They are known carcinogens, I think formaldehyde too. But we don't use them actively in any of the testing that we do. We just have them here from previous testing. And if anybody runs across it, you are somewhere you should not be. Okay?
The oil that we use in this rotovap, which kind of oil is that?
The rotovap?
Yeah.
It's silicon oil. It's
the heating one.
Yes, yeah, silicon oil. It's a very high temperature oil. It can get hot without burning off. I meant to bring one of those in there. We have these lockout tags. If you ever see any equipment that has this tag on it, don't touch it, don't walk up to it, don't look at it. Something has happened to it that it has become dangerous and it's not safe to operate for any means. So if you have to use that piece of equipment that you see that tag on, come talk to one of the engineers first and we'll find out what's going on with it if we don't already know. For the most part, if that tag's out there, we're going to know about it. Electrical safety, if you know someone is being energized, being electrocuted, don't touch them yourself. You will become part of that circuit. You'll also be electrocuted. What we have to do is go to the circuit breaker and de-energize that circuit in order to help them out. And then immediately to the 911, get that taken care of.
How many people do we have here that are CPR qualified? I mean, trained? We never did any CPR training here.
No.
I know that Rail Tech actually on campus, once in a while they do that so that
Really?
when they have their group working, there are some people that are CPR. It's one of the things we may think about.
I'm okay with that. I have been trained, but that was quite a while ago. I don't have a current card. Does anybody have a current CPR qualification? Yeah, I wouldn't expect so. But a good point. Okay, so this gets to the fun part. Whoever answers this correctly gets a free slice of pizza. These are pictures that were taken in the last 2 days. These are problems that are current and probably, well, no, Bill was here this morning, so probably not still there.
But they're common problems.
But it happens every day. So, what is the problem with this picture? No. It is spilled coffee, but it's outside the student office. And it also happens in the kitchen a lot. So, if you know you spilled, go back, get a paper towel, clean it up. We do have a janitor service. Bill Hamilton comes out twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. Empties the trash, sweeps the floor, mops if necessary, keeps the bathrooms clean. We need to do our part as well. You know, if you make a mess, clean the mess up. It's pretty basic. We know what we're doing, and we're all mature adults. Right? All right. Who recognizes this? Good. One person at least. Okay.
Ask Annie if she can turn off the lights.
Oh, yeah. Could you turn the light off again? That might help. Okay, this isn't the volumetrics lab. This is our 60-degree bath. I believe Monday I saw it like this, and this picture was taken yesterday. The water level should be somewhere in the middle of the black in order to submerge your samples in there. Whoever used it last did not put the covers back on, and therefore the 60-degree water all evaporated. Had this not been caught, all the water would evaporate and we would damage the heating elements. And this is, I think, a $3,500 or $4,000 piece of equipment. So something very simple as putting it back the way you found it, and it would have cost the lab $4,000.
Worse than the cost, they'll have to sit and wait for a new one to arrive. And I don't think the people
That's exactly
using
it.
want to
All you
wait.
need to do on that is put the lids back on it, or turn it off. If you're not gonna use it.
That's what I was gonna ask.
just turn it off.
That equipment never turns off, or what?
Yeah, there's an on and off switch on it.
Mm.
But if you're not gonna use it again, then just turn it off. If you're gonna use it repeatedly, then keep the lids on it to keep the water.
Sometimes you don't want to turn it off overnight, you want to use it tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Then just keep the lids on it.
yeah.
I
Yep.
understand it takes a long time for that thing to heat up,
Yes.
but just to keep the lids on it if you're gonna use it again.
Yep. All right. Anybody? Okay, you're right.
That looks brand new.
In this picture, there happens to be nothing wrong. However, what, 2 weeks ago, I believe? Well, yeah, it is a little low for the temperature too. But 2 weeks ago, that went missing. I had to buy a replacement. Still don't know where it went. If you guys need to use a thermometer, wherever it may be, in a freezer, somewhere else, don't take one that's already in place in the lab. Come ask me for one, and we'll buy you one to be used wherever you need to use it. Don't take things that are in place in the lab and move them wherever you need them at. Okay? All right. Who wants to take a shot at this one?
Oh, I have a picture like that in my phone, actually.
In your
Somebody
phone?
went to Binder Lab and left the tools also open like that.
All right. The problem here, and the problem with a lot of places in the binder lab, out in the high bays, is tools left out. I think we're going to move away from the tool room having open access to a toolbox full of tools, and we're going to get toolboxes for each piece of equipment to have the tools that we use on each test. That'll keep things from walking back and forth across the base. Well, it won't keep that from happening. It'll keep the central location from running out of tools. It'll keep the tools at the place where they need to be used. And hopefully nobody will try and steal from each other. And likewise, this toolbox, instead of sitting out on the floor with the cabinet open behind it, needs to be inside with the doors closed. Keep things presentable. All right.
Also, if you leave the toolbox outside and somebody's walking around, like, it's gonna be an obstacle for people to operate.
A tripping hazard.
Uh-huh.
very much. Okay. Yanji, you're way in the back. Tell me what's wrong with this picture.
Oh, that box is beyond that. Is within that yellow region, I guess?
Yep, that's right. Whoever's material this is, you're obstructing the safety shower, the chemical shower. So if somebody's on fire and they're running for this thing, they're going to trip and fall down when they run into this. And they're not going to get the fire put out. They're going to die. And it'll be your fault. So does anybody actually know whose material this is? Okay. But nonetheless, the exact problem is that you're blocking access to the chemical shower.
And aside from being blamed for somebody's death, if that is your material, when we do the routine check to make sure the eye wash and the showers are working, we're not going to move that material, so it's likely getting wet every time. So
Good point
if you
also.
care, it'd be a good chance to move.
All right. I don't have it labeled as such, but in each of the high bays, this board, there's a board in all three of the high bay A, B, C, and that's where the cleaning equipment goes. So I'll take this one. We only have one broom here, and that's good. One broom per board, but the dustpan and the hand broom are missing. There should be a broom, a dustpan, and a hand broom at each of those stations. Like we said earlier, use it, put it back where you found it. As of right now, there's cleaning equipment all over everywhere. If we have it where it's supposed to be, everybody knows where to go to get it. It's not a hunt. It's not a waste of time going to look for these things. Imran, your name's on this one. Tell me what's wrong. That's right, nothing. Well done. I wanted this picture in here because every specimen out in the lab, out in the shed, anywhere around here, should have a label on it so that anybody walking around here knows why these are here. They're from the Peoria site. Imran's working on them. These back here, I believe, are high wrap. Is that yours, Kazi, there?
There were two left for the
Yeah.
I'm not sure which.
I think so.
And then up above here is Thin Quiet Songsu's material. So if you have anything on a shelf anywhere at Atrial, it needs to have some kind of a label. Where's Tor? What do you see wrong here? Okay. Really not so wrong, but when equipment's not in use, it needs to be stored that it's not in use. Right now, the Hamburg has nothing in it and has had nothing in it for a week. We need to shut this down so we don't burn the monitor up, so that we don't.
I'm not the last person to use this device.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm just, since you use it, you would be familiar with it.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're not at fault. I'm just asking what you saw wrong. All right. There is something wrong here. Who else we got out there who works in that area? Man, I guess, well, Ahmed, what's wrong here?
The solvent is here.
The solvent is here, and nobody's using it. One of the things, yes?
One another thing about that tape. I have lots of tapes missing from Binder Lab, and I want all the bays to find my equipment there. Please put it back in the Binder Lab.
He is correct. Especially with these tapes that we use for labeling specimens, I buy this by the bulk from Rural King. Come get tape from me if you can't find it where you need it, instead of stealing from other locations. Like Ahmed pointed out here, the solvents are not to be left out. You can get them out, use them while you're working. They're stored in the solvent room only. When you're done working, all the wash bottles go back to the solvent room. This is also true in the binder lab. Any solvent left in the binder lab needs to go back into the solvent room. Oh, this is my favorite one. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Who wants the first one? Ah, come on now. Let me put Dave on the spot since he's in here.
Well, I'd say those rags need to be in that yellow barrel that's intended for storing, you know, oily rags. I'm not
That
sure
is
what else is wrong, but
exactly right. That yellow bin out there in the high bay now is for oily rags, for the mineral spirit soaked rags. They need to be stored in here. Everybody knows it now. Don't leave them laying out.
And where are the cleaner ones? The clean rags?
There's actually right now 2 boxes on the shelves that are right along to the right side of this picture. Who wants to take the second? Jaime.
Why are those buckets there?
Why are the buckets left there? Whose buckets are they? They're not labeled. We don't know. So those buckets, if not claimed, are going in the HMA trash. They're garbage. Let's see. Number 3. Oh, there it is. Okay. I got to catch up myself. Who hasn't spoken up? Shayadel. Number 3 on this page. Right now we've got buckets of asphalt without any label, and we've got dirty rags. Right there. That's the end of a dustpan and a dust broom. Where should it be?
2 pictures back.
Okay. And so we're not dragging any, well, okay. And then right here, you can't really see it. It's actually a shovel. Why is there a shovel in the high bay? And why wasn't the shovel put back away in the shed where it belongs, or MPF? Why is it left out here? And I guess it's 5 things, because nobody can really see it, but there's that bottle of solvent right there. All right? This, I'm sure the people that work there know exactly what it is and what's there and where it should be. But anybody else walking into this lab, that is a mess. Are those rags clean or dirty? Or, you know, what's going on with that equipment? We need to store things a little better instead of leaving them laying out, is what it comes down. The area in front of the UTM and the interlocking equally. You guys work with it day in and day out, but things are left spread out and sprawled out, and it shouldn't be left that way. It should be put away in an orderly fashion. This one, not actually anything wrong, but I wanted to point out, if you have cardboard, we do have recycling bins out there now. They're the plastic barrels. This also brings up the 2 week, was it last week that we did all the paper and stuff? If paper or aluminum cans are spilling over, sometimes I get a little busy, and anybody can grab a bag and bag them up and set them down by the office or out in the shed. If things are spilling over, help me out a little bit, clean up. Help me to organize things and clean up.
Jim, is this one just for cardboard, or is that for all recyclables?
All recyclables, I'll sort it out from there. Whether it's the plastic containers or aluminum cans. Huh. Who wants to take a stab at this one? Hassan, what do you see wrong?
That big bench.
Use the right tool for the job. Okay, there's a small possibility that you could do the job correctly with this tool, but things are very likely you're going to ruin something very badly if you use the wrong tool for the job.
I have a question about this picture. Was somebody actually doing it and you guys took a picture, or did you guys pose
We
it?
caught them in the act.
You did?
Somebody was actually doing it.
We caught somebody doing that, and then we had to pose the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Likewise, the torque specs on these nuts on top of the PAV was
55 inch-pounds.
measured in inch pounds. That's a very small amount of torque. This setup here with a ratchet, man, you could easily get to, what, 50, 60 foot-pounds easy?
50, 60 foot-pounds pretty easily. So if you just, that's really the wrong tool for it. We should probably get just a regular Allen wrench so it's harder to get torque on it. But if you're going to use that, just choke up on it, get really close to the
In other words, hold it closer to the head instead of way out at the end of the handle.
50 inch-pounds is not very much.
It doesn't take much to finish the job here. If you put too much on there, you're going to strip threads, and this is quite a piece of equipment to work on. It's not easy. Volumetrics lab. This is the heating and circulating for the GMB and GSBs. If you work in that area, every time you're in there, take a look at this bath and make sure that it is not below the heater. If the heater element gets dry, it'll break, and you won't be able to do your volumetrics the next time you're in there. You won't be at temperature. Every time you walk in that room, check on the water level here. And while you're in there, make sure the lid's on the 60-degree bath. And if anybody's here in the last couple springs, you recognize this photo.
Gross.
Yes. Every spring, we will have ants. Treat your desks not as refrigerators, but as ants' homes. Clean them up. Don't leave your food in there. Even packaged food, they will find a way inside the package. Yeah. I don't know what to say about it. Don't be surprised when they're in and on your desk. We also get quite a few spiders. They'll start coming in as it gets cold outside. They're not as much of a nuisance as ants. And occasionally, we'll get mice in here as well.
Snakes.
That's only happened once.
One time.
One time. It was quite a time, but it was only once. Inside, yep.
It was a baby.
You want to share with us, Shidel? He found it.
What are you doing, Shai?
He found it and he wasn't happy about it. All right, everybody's seen this one before. Please wear your safety glasses at all times. And this goes for any and all equipment that has moving parts. They do what they do. They don't care if your hands are in the way. They don't care if your head's in the way. They're going to keep moving. Done. Oh, I did want to talk about the heating and cooling. The building is very finicky. I'm sure everybody's come to notice that. I haven't yet turned on the boiler, so that's why it's getting cool. Yeah. Cooler and cooler. However, if I do turn on the boiler and we get anywhere near 60 degrees during the day, it gets so hot in here. So I hope everybody's okay with being a little cooler until we get cold outside. Okay, that reminds me also, as Solly brought up, whenever you work with this epoxy, whoever it is, not just in this, but when you're cleaning the material up, don't clean it up in the sinks, because this stuff hardens on the sinks and it's extremely difficult to clean out of the sinks. When it goes down in the sinks and the drain, it hardens down in the drain and backs up everything. I've bought in paper bowls to mix this stuff up in. Use the paper so you can just throw it away. If you're using something permanent, clean it out in a bucket of water, and then we'll get rid of that bucket of water. Don't wash this down the sinks anymore. And then security. So anybody else want to see the alarm procedures? Okay, very good. We'll meet up right after this. Was there anything else?
So you want to talk about the alarms over at MPF too? Alarms or something, was there something left for over there? You said you just talked
Well,
about
for the individuals. Yeah, just where the location of things are. So I think I've covered it all. I may have drug it out a little bit.